Hello, ladies and gents, and happy Sunday. Welcome to the very first in a new series called The Roundtable, which is where we get three fans on, just like we have today, and we'll introduce them in a moment, where we talk about current topics happening in and around the den and give you the opportunity to come on the show and voice your opinion. So this is the very first in the series, looking to do many more. If you are interested in possibly coming on, drop me a message and we'll try and sort out for sure. And again, I'm going to keep plugging this, guys, because it's all for a good cause. Please do, if you're watching this, just take that 2 seconds to go on and subscribe on YouTube. It costs you nothing. And as soon as we've got 1,000 followers, we can start making money for charity. So that is the aim. So without further ado, let's welcome our guests today. We'll start off with the one and only Angelo. How you doing, mate? Welcome back.
Hello, Chris. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, all good. I'm nervous. I'm nervous
Yeah.
tonight for tonight, but yeah, I'm all right other than that, mate.
Oh, yeah, there's a game tonight, isn't there? There's some game tonight.
Something like that.
Yeah, we're bringing it home. We're bringing it home. We're bringing it home.
We are, mate. We are. And I'm hoping that if you're listening to this, this is like your sort of pre-match, pre-beers bit of listening before you get down the pub. So, but welcome, Angelo. Welcome, mate.
Thanks, Chris.
And our next guest is the one and only Dan Marsh. How you doing, Dan?
Yeah, all good, thank you, mate. All good, like Angelo. Yeah, getting a bit nervous for tonight now.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the topics, by the way, that we're gonna talk about later. So get your score predictions ready. And last but certainly no means least, welcome, Steve.
Yeah, hi Chris, hi lads. Thanks for inviting me back on. Delighted to be with you for this. It's been a great week for Millwall, and hopefully going to be an even better week with a big win tonight.
Let's hope so, mate. Let's hope so. Where are we all watching the game, actually? Angelo, where are you watching the game, mate?
I'm just watching it indoors, mate. Got me son coming around. I'm just going to watch it indoors, yeah.
Nice, mate. Very nice. Yourself, Dan?
Yeah, indoors I'm working. I've obviously really upset someone at Reach PLC Towers. I think I worked the quarters and the semis as well. So yeah, hopefully it'll be really busy because we win. And if not, yeah, be interesting.
You want it to be busy then, mate?
Yeah. For once, yeah, we'll let that slide for once, yeah.
And yourself, Steve?
Yeah, same. I'm at home. I'm not a big fan of going to a boozer or a club to watch a game. I like to watch it rather than people chattering in your ear rolls with a load of nonsense as such. So I've got a mate coming round, big Jeff Cook coming round to join me and my good lady wife. So fingers crossed we'll be celebrating tonight.
Fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed. I'm going to one of my local pubs, which is like, it's more superstition than anything. I've watched most of the games there, so I feel like I have to go there for the final. And it's quite nice because they, I might as well just say where it is because I'm sort of plugging it. It's the Copper House in Blackfen. But they've got like these little 4-seaters where there's actually a TV in the table kind of thing. So it's actually quite nice. So you can sort of be with your family and stuff and also watch the game. But anyway, I've certainly gone off a tangent. Let's bring it back to the real reason we are here. So today, ladies and gents, we're going to talk a bit about the transfer business we've done so far. Obviously, 3 signings through the door. Talk a bit about those individually. What we're then going to do is go on to talk about what collectively we still think we need. And then finally, it wouldn't be right if we wasn't to kind of talk a little bit more about the England game tonight. And I'm sure if you listen to this, that's you'd love to talk about that a little bit more as well. So without further ado, let's talk about the 3 signings. So we've obviously signed, first of all, through the door was Macauley Langstaff, then Japhet Tanganga, and then obviously most recently Lucas Jensen. But I want to start by talking about Japhet Tanganga because for me, that was a real statement of intent. I can imagine he's costing a pretty penny to the club and a real marquee signing, I think, to get this one over the line. So, Dan, I'll come to you first. What are your thoughts on sort of finally getting him over the line? It felt like it took forever, didn't it? And, what do you think he brings to the club?
Yeah, it's absolutely massive. I don't think it's any secret that he's been probably the club's #1 target in the summer window. I think Neil Harris sort of said that himself after he'd signed on Millwall TV. I think it's a coup. Like you said, I think it's a pretty big coup for us. Great pedigree. He's obviously, he's had his injury problems. He's maybe not made as many. You look at his appearances, today, I think he's 25 now, isn't he? So there are one or two question marks there. We've had to be patient, haven't we? I mean, obviously, it's July. I know when you spoke with Luca, Chris, he sort of said that he was of the opposite opinion. He was said it was relatively early for him to have made a decision, but feels like since we sort of did that initial line back in May, but we'd agreed a deal with Tottenham to sort of try and snare him early. That feels ages and ages ago. And he'll bring a lot. He's going to be, you'd imagine he'll be one of the first names on the team sheet. Made a really, really big difference. Second half of last season, after he come in from Spurs, once he found his feet, I think obviously Joe Edwards brought him in, but I think it was Neil Harris who saw the best of him. Obviously, as it took him a few games to get his fitness and his sharpness up. But we needed a top quality centre half, and we've got that. We've had to be patient, but hopefully the wait will be worth it. I'm sure it will be. And yeah, it was I think as well, it was the whole week's been a bit of a lift, isn't it? I think for the fan base, it's been another difficult summer. Obviously, I don't think we've spoken since Matija Sarkic sadly passed away. So I think the last week has sort of given the fan base a little bit of a lift, and you only had to look at the reaction on social media, didn't you, for Japhet when the old teaser was released. So yeah, really, really positive signing, and really looking forward to seeing what he can do under Chopper next season.
Yeah, Dan, I agree, and I think you're right to say that I think we saw the best of Jaff under Harris, which maybe initially I think he was brought in to play more of an Edwards style. He was signed under Edwards, right? But we definitely saw the best of him, and I've said before he was, I think it was the 6th or 7th best defender in the league in his time that he was here. So and I think he can only improve. But for the club, Angelo, how important is it to get, such a marquee signing like that done and over the line?
Yeah, well said, Dan, as well, mate. It was a heartbreaking summer, obviously, which put us all on a downer. Horrible start. Rest in peace, Matty. Just devastating news about that. And yeah, so slowly, time's a great healer, and like anything, sadly, the football club goes on, doesn't it? And for someone to lose their life, so it upsets me now thinking about it. But we've got to move forward, and yeah, like Dan said, it was a great week to bring in three additions, and yeah, Japhet Tanganga, 100% the number one target. And when I was watching the Millwall TV interview with Harris, I think Harris has got a massive lot to do with him actually signing for us. Apparently didn't leave him alone the whole of the summer, and it looks like they've got a great relationship, and it looks like Japhet's got a lot of trust in each other, and yeah, I'm over the moon that we got him. He is an elite defender. He reminds me a bit of Mark Gahey for England. He moves about, does his job. And yeah, listen, he got us 2 goals last season as well. If he can chip in with a few goals as well, that'd be great as well. Yeah, over the moon, Chris. Yeah, absolutely brilliant signing. Brilliant.
Yes, couldn't agree more with both of what you've said. I think he's. If we look back, all good, successful Millwall teams have had a really good, solid centre back pairing, right? And I think now, hopefully, with Jake Cooper and Japhet Tanganga. That's what we have, and hopefully they can continue to do that for the rest of the season. I think it's really important to build on that foundation. Yeah, okay. So absolutely over the moon with Tanganga, and certainly the marquee signing, but it shouldn't take the gloss off of another really good signing that we've made, which is Macauley Langstaff. So, obviously scored, I'm going to get this wrong, but I'm sure it's like 72 goals or 78 goals. It's one of the two. in the last 2 seasons. And, you know, he's definitely shown he's been able to step up every single time. And his interview was really impressive in terms of just that kind of desire and willingness. And we seem to be getting a player that's a real Millwall type forward in terms of they're a pressing forward. They're happy to do the hard yards, which was great to hear. But, you know, Steve, his record speaks for itself. But what's your view? You know, do you think he can step up to the Championship?
Yeah, listen, like you, I was over the moon with that signing. I've got my mate who's coming round for the game tonight, Jeff. He's been banging on about Langstaff for the past 2-3 seasons, saying, why don't we just sling a bid in and bring this lad in? He's clearly a natural goal scorer. And it's not quite happened, but now obviously has. Look, any signing is a risk, isn't it? You know, and especially a goal scoring signing. You never know if they're going to click, fit in, etc. But I have to say, I think generally goal scorers are a certain ilk. And if they've got that knack, they can take it to the next level. And what I like is you get a lot of these sort of players, don't you, who burst on the scene, have a really good season of scoring loads of goals, and suddenly they're going for multi-million-pound signings, and then they just fade away. He's progressively been doing it the last few seasons, hasn't he? Yes, at a lower level, but every challenge he's been given, he has stepped up and scored. So I've got to say, you know, I don't know. I'm not an expert, but I'm confident he will score goals. I'd urge the fans to be patient. I think if you think back, Harris, Morrison, and Gregory all had slowish starts when they came, and there was mixed views. I mean, if they're not banging goals in straight away, the fans can get very restless. But I think most of us will watch a player and you'll very quickly see, yeah, they've got something. They've got something and it's going to click. Morrison was a good example of that. He was talking to you the other day, Chris, a great interview you did with him, where he said, I was very slow off the mark, wasn't I? Harris was banging them in. I wasn't. And then slowly got my feet. The fans were a little patient. And then he had a really good second half of the season. So, look, we want him to score early. It was a really important position that we needed. But, yeah, to answer the question, I am really confident he will score goals for us and be successful. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing him, to be honest.
Yes, mate, and 100%. And obviously he wasn't part of the friendly yesterday, but I understand there's nothing wrong there. It was always part of the plan. You know, you touched on some names there as well, Steve. You know, if you look at, if we're honest, our most successful strikers have come from, well, certainly since I've been supporting, from non-league. You know, Neil Harris, Steve Morrison, Lee Gregory, right? You know, so that bodes well. And I think when I was speaking to Morrow the other day, he talked about the mentality element, and Langstaff in his interviews, he does appear to be, you know, have that, which I think will really, really help. So that's fantastic. I think Langstaff will only score goals, though, if we create chances for him, right? And we're not particularly good at that, dare I say it. So, you know, Dan, what is your view on, does this lend itself to us playing a different style, a different formation? You know, we saw at the friendly yesterday. I think we started the game 4-4-2, and then we went to the 4-2-3-1. We need to create chances, right? So how do you think we go about doing that for someone like Langstaff?
Yeah, obviously he's a goal scorer, be coming in full of confidence. Is, you know, this is a perfect time for him to make the jump, because he's not just had one fantastic season; he's had 2 in a row. It depends on the players around him. I think what we saw yesterday, that 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1 sort of thing, is probably similar to what we're going to see next year. I think during the second half of last season, that was sort of what we got. It was almost a hybrid at times. I think Zian would sometimes kind of sit in that 10, sometimes push up a bit more. I think that's what we'll continue to see. I would go against the grain in terms of, like, well, I say that. I think I said this last time we spoke, and the consensus was the same. I thought the football we played when Chopper come back last year was pretty good. I thought we mixed it up well. Definitely don't think it was sort of. I listened to a clip of some people yesterday on social media who were perhaps a bit critical of Langstaff, saying that all he does is get goals, which is well.
Oh no.
I'll leave you to make your own minds up on that. But, you know, that's what we need. We need that's what you want at the end of the day. I think it's not a secret, is it? I think Neil said in his post-match interview yesterday that we need forward options. We still in that final third. That's what's let us down, isn't it? And I think we'll see. It wouldn't surprise me to see 2 wingers signed. I think probably like another forward as well, maybe a different sort of profile to Langstaff, Nisbet, and Bradshaw. I think he's got a little bit of pace. So obviously, I wouldn't say there's something that Bradshaw or Nisbet, either of them, are particularly blessed with. But it's going to be very interesting. I think, the key will be the players around him and working to get the best out of him. To do that, I don't think, really, we don't want to be sort of aiming balls at his head or anything like that. But I don't think that is the plan. I think you could see yesterday, we wanted to get down the wings and we wanted to, which was very similar to Neil's last spell in charge. I think the year we first come back up into the Championship and nearly made the playoffs, we played some fantastic football. Really, really good. And I think that's what it will be next year. And I think a system like that, whether he's in a 2 or whether he's on his own with somebody like Azian behind him, I think that, would work in terms of getting goals out of him, which is, what we've signed him to do at the end of the day. If all he does is score goals, that'll be all right with me. That's all I'll say, lads.
Love that. Mic drop. Agreed, mate. Agreed. Really looking forward to seeing Langstaff. I think there's a couple of games behind closed doors this week before the players head out to Spain, so I'm sure he'll start to get some minutes. From one end of the pitch to another then, so I want to talk about our third new signing in Lucas Jensen. So obviously it's through very unfortunate circumstances that we're even in the market for another goalkeeper. So I think it's still upsetting to talk about, but as Angelo quite rightly said earlier, massive respect and thoughts and loved messages to Matty's loved ones. However, we need to move forward as a football club, and I'm sure Matty and anyone associated with Matty would have wanted us to do that. So we've gone out and we brought Lucas Jensen in. Had the pleasure of interviewing Gary from the Stacey West Lincoln pod, who made some bold statements, right? He talked about how he saw him stepping up to the Championship with ease. He saw him being a future Danish number 1, some really bold statements. So, and he seemed to really know what he's talking about. So it sounds like a very good, astute signing for believed to be around 400-500k. Angelo, based on what you've seen and heard of him, do you think it's a sensible investment by the club?
Yeah, it looks like it, Chris. I listened to that interview you done with the Lincoln guy, and he really seemed like he knew what he was talking about. And the review that he gave, it makes me excited. It really makes me excited to see this guy in action. Obviously, there was this question mark about his kicking, but I don't know if you remember, guys, but we put a goalkeeper in place of Bart a couple of seasons ago because he was a good kicker. And we saw how that ended up, didn't we? So cost us a playoffs, in my opinion. I'm never going to back down from that. So I don't really care if he can't kick the ball. As long as he can keep the ball out of the goal, that is all I care about, The kicking, that's something you can improve on. He's only 25 years old. He's not even anywhere near his peak. He's played one full season as a goalkeeper because he's had a few short little loan spells here and there.
Yeah.
So last season was is almost like his breakthrough year. 19 clean sheets and player of the season, I believe, at Lincoln as well.
Yeah.
On paper, and apparently he's a monster in height as well, 6'6". I can see him flying through the air, collecting every corner. It's positive that we've got a nice, good, young goalkeeper and with a potential to get even better, So it's a definite thumbs up from me, mate. Definitely.
Agreed, mate. And I think the other thing as well, if it is around 500, it doesn't matter, right? But 500k for a 25-year-old, which for a goalkeeper, that's like a 21-year-old central midfielder or whatever, he could be playing for another 10 years. That is from an investment standpoint, it's a really astute decision. And Gary, the Lincoln fan, made a really good observation that as a goalkeeper, arguably it's easier to step up because sometimes it's about the players around you and the defence you've got in front of you. So that was interesting. But another thing that I think he brings is also my understanding of him being quite a big character. Dan, what's your view on, that element that was required as well? And what have you heard on that front?
Yeah, so I actually spoke with him in an interview for work towards the end of last season. And yeah, he's a really big character. He's a really good guy. And I think that's important because, like we've touched on there, like, he's coming in very, very tragic circumstances. And, we'd much rather we weren't in this position. But for him, from a personal thing for him, it must be a pretty difficult, situation to walk into.
That's a good point.
But I think character-wise, he seemed a really good guy. He seemed like I said, a big character. So I think that will help him with that. His statistics were fantastic. I'd agree with Gary that I think for a goalkeeper stepping up, it probably is a bit easier. And he played behind obviously a good defence at Lincoln last year. You don't rack up 19 clean sheets in the league if you've not got a solid defensive unit. But the beauty of this move is that he walks into another solid defence. Like when Chopper come back, we were proper, solid at the back. We've got that centre back pairing again. We know we're going to have Cooper and Tanganga. Ryan Leonard had a really, really good season, at right back. And then on the left, you've got, I thought Joe Bryan looked right today, but, I'm not too sure. Wouldn't surprise me if they try and do something in that left back area. But I don't think Danny Mack, I thought Danny Mack was very, very good at left back. So I know Chopper said when he put Danny Mack there initially, he played him and Ryan Leonard in those positions because they were his two best one-on-one defenders. So if you're him and you're coming in, you've got Danny Mack, Ryan Leonard, Jake Cooper, Tanganga, it's a brilliant unit to sort of step into. I'm really, really infused. Obviously, tragic circumstances, and I wish we weren't in the market for a goalkeeper this summer for those reasons. But when you assess, his sort of background and the sign as a whole, I think it's a really, really positive one. And in terms of longevity, it's not uncommon for keepers to look at Bart, David Ford, racked up hundreds of appearances, didn't they? So, at that age, there's no reason why he can't go on and do the same, hopefully.
Yes, mate. And you bring out a couple of goalkeepers there, and I'd add sort of Denzel into the mix as well, in a sense of they all had something in common, which was they were big characters, right? They in different ways. I think Bart was more sort of softly spoken, but in different ways they were big characters. And that sort of segues me into my next question, Steve, which is, what in your view makes a great Millwall goalkeeper?
Good question. Look, first and foremost, to echo what you've all said, what a bloody choker for Mattia. And so disappointing because he'd had a bit of a tough start with us, from the fans' point of view. I think he started to win us over, to be fair. And then what you hear, sadly, now he's passed, is he was such a lovely, lovely guy and actually very determined to have a top-level career in the game. So we'd have benefited from that without a shadow of a doubt. So shame for us to have to go into the market for a keeper, but that was the need. I'm in the camp, I think, meant in the nicest possible way. I think it's quite easy to go and find decent. There's a lot of keepers out there, isn't there? I mean, look, bloody hell, a lot of the Premier League have 3 and 4 keepers. So I actually thought we might go down the loan route. This one come out the blue. I knew absolutely nothing about him. Didn't realise, actually, he's the son of Brian Jensen, isn't he? The Beast, as he was called at Burnley, the great big unit. And he was, yeah. I've got a Burnley fan up here, and he said, well, he'll get a great reception when you play here because they loved the Beast, as it were. And I think he started at Burnley. That must be the link, for him. But it looks like a bloody wonderstroke. He looks the real deal, doesn't he? Both in terms of stature, stats, and, as you say, got a good character. In answer to your question, we've had a bit of a mix over the years, haven't we? We've had some really good keepers when you think about it. Bart, for me, most recently, fantastic. But Denzel, you've mentioned, Fordy, Brian Horn, Brian King, going right back through the years. We've had good Keller. We've had some duffs. We've had some duff ones as well. And you mentioned old Mr. Long before, and then put Archer in the mix there, who finished terribly for us. It's a really important position. So what does a good keeper need? I think they need to have a good character, as you say, and that can be a different style of character, but important they've got a bit about them. I love the fact he's 6'5" or 6'6". I've heard different levels. I don't really care massive, that 1 inch. Yeah, with that, and I love that. When my keeper walks out and he's towering above the rest of the players and he stood in his goal and a great presence, that's got to be a starting point for you. So I think that'll make him a great Millwall keeper. And I think, look, just a good shot stopper, contribute to the game. We've got a solid defence, but when it is breached, can he make an important save to keep us in the game or keep us ahead in the game? And so I think that's what's needed. I think we've done a masterstroke here without even seeing him kick a ball yet. I think I'm really enthused that he could be the real deal. The kicking, I'm with you, Angelo. I don't have a keeper for kick. I don't mind them having a good kick. So a long kick, sometimes you want to relieve the pressure and just get the ball up and not have it hovering around the halfway line. But I'm sure all keepers have that these days anyway. But this dribbling out the back and passing, that's not for me.
It's not us,
as long as he's comfortable on the ball. No, exactly. So look. Hopefully that's the sort of keeper we need, and I think we've got it with him.
Yes, mate, I agree. And 3 signings through the door, and I think you can tell we're all pretty optimistic about all 3 of them. But there's definitely more work still to be done, and we're going to sort of talk a little bit about that. I think I'm going to share a screen in a moment of the current squad. But I just wanted to make an observation. We were talking about this off the air just a minute ago that, Jensen ultimately is come in to replace Sarkic. So, there's no new signing there, so to speak, or no new body in the building there. The same with Tanganga. He was in the building last season. Langstaff is new, so that's the one kind of extra player. But then we've lost Longman and Hutch. So from a purely standing still perspective, I am, and I'm not trying to be negative here, I'm very excited. I think the 3 signings we've made are outstanding, just as we've all talked to. But I think we do need more, I guess is my point. And I'm just going to flash on screen now the current squad. So for those of you listening on podcasts, I'll quickly read it out. But you should be able to see this if you're watching it on YouTube. So obviously in the goalkeeping department, Jensen and Truman, although Truman is injured. There was another trialist in goal for us yesterday, Jordan Amisa, but I'm not sure what's going to happen with him. Right backs, Ryan Leonard and Danny Mack, I've put him there for now. Tanganga and Harding as right centre backs. Harding, will he be here? Will he not? Not sure. Cooper and Wallace as the 2 left-sided centre backs. Joe Bryan, and then I put Adon Malachi purely in the absence of anyone else, and the fact that I've actually really been quite impressed with what I've seen from him. So hopefully it could be a breakthrough season if we don't do what Dan said and we go into the market and sign someone else. In the central midfield department, sort of 2 positions. At the moment, I see us having 3 players. George Saville, Casper Denor, and Billy Mitchell, who didn't play yesterday. So we'll have to, watch that one, and hopefully Billy Mitchell is okay. So again, do we need a player there? And then in terms of ahead of that, you can put this as 4-4-2 or 4-2-3-1. It doesn't matter, but you've kind of got in forward areas. Watmore and Mayer. Mayer obviously is also injured. Fleming and Essay, Honeyman and Imaku, and then Bradshaw, Langstaff and Nisbet. So there's quite a few bodies in the top end of the pitch, but I still think that we need to do more, and Harris sort of alluded to that. So I guess we do need to do more, but we'll segue in a second to kind of talk of more signings and who we'd bring in and stuff like that. But Angelo, just before we do that, how pleased should we be with the business we've done so far overall?
Yeah, listen, the 3 that we brought in, fantastic, yeah. But like Harris said in his Millwall interview the other day, I was very pleased to hear this, but he was talking about 4, 5, and 6, and 7 coming into the building, yeah. So it looks like that he is going to be bringing some more people in. Just on that on the squad that you just put up there, Chris, yeah, don't forget that also we've got Chinacoli, and we've also got Carlon Grant, haven't we, who's at Bromley. So they're two young centre halves that I don't know how close they are, mate, but
True.
really, really good reports, especially from Byron Webster on that Wall Talk. You know, he spoke really well of both of them. So I don't know how close they are to making some kind of breakthrough. Yeah, the other thing as well is that we've all got to bear in mind as well is that Joe Bryan had an operation, and apparently since he's been with us, he had this niggly injury that was holding him back. So listen, fingers crossed, if this operation's been a success and he's got no more of these niggly injuries, but we're going to see a really, really good Joe Bryan as well, you know. But yeah, Danny Matt done a fantastic job at left back. But if you can get a really, really good 100% fit Joe Bryan at left back, then, you know, it's looking very, very positive, mate. Yeah. And do you know what, Chris, there's one player that I wanted to bring up. Yeah. I saw all these, he's a youngster, and I saw all these, a couple of posts that Brighton and Brentford were after him. There's a guy called Josh Stevenson who won all the awards for the under-18s. Yeah. So I think even maybe Arsenal were even mentioned that they were sniffing around him as well. You know, where is this kid? You know, he's 18. Yeah, like tonight, we're going to see a 16. Well, he just turned 17. We're going to see a 17-year-old guy playing in the European Championship final. Yeah. So if this Josh Stevenson is as good as what it looks like he is, where is he? Why wasn't he involved yesterday? You know, it really concerned me because I was hoping to see him like starting to get involved. Unless he's already made the decision to go. I don't know. I don't know if you've heard anything about this Josh Stevenson, but the reports are he's one hell of a prospect, mate. Have you heard anything, Chris?
I don't think he's signed a contract. I could be completely wrong. It's not something I've tried to stay on top of anything. But yeah, I don't think. I don't know if he's going to senior or something like that. But yeah, I don't think he signed a contract. I'm sure I read that somewhere this week. Could be wrong.
So it looks like he's probably going to leave then, is it?
At the minute, yeah, you'd probably imagine so. If he's not signed a contract, I think Neil House spoke with it either with I think it was the SLP, and he was kind of saying about getting the right deal and you know, I think they mentioned a tribunal as well. I think if they're kind of talking like that, potentially that would maybe cause you to sort of err on that side that maybe he's not going to sign, he's going to go elsewhere.
Yeah. Okay, that's a shame. So we've got the two young Bromley guys that obviously could break through. The midfield, maybe Honeyman would be more of a midfielder. I don't know how long Billy's out for. I don't know how serious that injury is. But Casper started to come back into it, didn't he, towards the end of the season. My biggest concern, and I really don't want to be negative, is our front three. Yeah. So at the moment we have got Langstaff. Fingers crossed is going to be a success. Yeah. But again, like Steve said, he might need a bit of time. Yeah. So we've got Nisbet, who hasn't got off on the right foot with Harris. That's plain to see. There's questions of this. You know, I've heard a few stories have come back a little bit overweight, and you know his fitness and et cetera. And then we've got Bradshaw, who we all love, but you know does spend a lot of time being injured. So when you look at the front three, I think we need another two strikers, mate. I think we need another two strikers, plus a couple of wingers. So that's my view. I'm really concerned with the forwards because of Bradshaw with the injury and Nisbet. Is he going to be a Millwall player next season? I don't know. So you know, but Harris did say it's he's looking to bring attackers in. So I'm sure he's on the case, Chris.
Yeah, he did, didn't he, mate? He said after the post match, the Gillingham post match. I think I counted. He said it 4 or 5 times that we need to. So he's clearly wanting to do a lot more. I think, and it would surprise me if we're not able to bring 1 or 2 more in before the players go off to Spain. In is it 2 weeks from now or week and a half, something like that? Can't remember.
Is it end of this week they go? Potentially,
possibly
the start of next week. One of the two.
Possibly, yeah. But I mean, yeah, I think it's it's clear to see we need to do some more. I think some good points there as well on the two young centre backs, how close they are. I've got a friend who's quite well connected at Bromley, and he said the same about Kamal Grant and Chinakoli, that they're both different qualities, he said, but both very good prospects. So we'll see how that goes. And of course, we didn't have Josh Stevenson playing yesterday, but we did have Alfie Massey, and he really, another 18-year-old, he really sort of shone, in my opinion. So yeah, I think there's lots to be positive about. Just taking a step back again before we talk about other players that we'd want to bring in. Out of the 3 signings we have made so far, Steve, which, by the way, we always want more, right? It's just the nature of football fans. But we should be really bloody pleased about these 3. Which one for you, caught your eye the most and excited you the most?
Yeah, that's a great question. And look, as you say, all 3 were, for different reasons, absolutely fantastic signings, and will play different sort of roles in the team. I think it's interesting. Tanganga, I think, got everybody really excited and showed the club's real commitment to invest in making us better. I think we had the 2 seasons of missing out on... Sorry? What?
Oh, sorry. I was saying it's the song. It's the Proclaimers song that gets everyone excited.
It absolutely. Look, it's brilliant, isn't it, that as well? We're going to have some fun with that next year. Look, we missed out on Ballard. We then not missed out, but we didn't sign Ballard. We didn't sign Creswell after having good seasons for us. And it looked like Tanganga would be another one that's come in, done a great job, and we lose him. But we got him, so brilliant. I've already shared how excited I am about the Jensen signing. And as you say, the guy from Lincoln saying that he thinks he could be a future Denmark #1. I mean, that's massive. That's a big high level to follow in the Schmeichel's footsteps. So we've potentially got 2 players there that could go on to bigger and better things, and we could get money for in the future. Probably Jensen more than Tanganga, but both could fall into that category. But for me, going right back, the most important, Langstaff for me was a really sensible, good bit of business. 700, 750k for what he can potentially bring us was absolutely worth every penny. And if we just get an element of what he's been doing previously, it's going to be massive, because goals is what we need. So for me, that's the standout one. And that'll be controversial, because all 3 could be and will be different people's views. But I've thought about this, and I think Langstaff, for me, if he clicks, and I'm confident he will, great bit of business. Don't think we'll get money for him in the future and all that. But if we get 2 or 3 or more really good seasons out of him, it could be fantastic, and really be the difference. Because that's what we do lack goals, don't we? Creating and scoring. But I'm with Dan there. I don't think we've played that bad of football under Harris, and we do create chances. And look, a good striker will, 1, create their own chances, but 2, score out of nothing, just something in the box, a drop down in the box from a corner or whatever, they'll score. That's the difference in a real goal scorer versus, a good striker who works their nuts off and gets the odd goal. So, I think for me, Langstaff, put my head on the block there. I'd say Langstaff is the most exciting, and looking forward to seeing him be successful for us.
Yes, mate. No, I agree. I think it is starting off. I mean, what more could you want, right? You sign the best striker in League 2, you sign the best goalkeeper in League 1, and you sign, in my opinion, a player with the potential to be the best centre-back in the Championship. So you can't really argue with that, can you? And I also love the fact that all 3 of them are ours. So they're not loans. Yeah. They're permanent. They're here permanently. They're here for 2-3 years, whatever it is. They're part of the project moving forwards. And that's another thing I really quite like about the business we've done so far. But Dan, coming over to you, what, and this is quite a generic question, but sort of what other positions, players, and we talked about the forward areas, so maybe you can just sort of elaborate on that. But in order to look back at the end of this transfer window when it's slammed shut, in order to say, yeah, that was a success, what else do you think we need to do in order to get there?
think, like you touched on there, the signings so far have been very impressed with all of them, and I think you definitely rather quality over quantity. But at the same time, you look at that squad, the graphic you put up. You know, I would say we probably need additions relatively all over. I think you'd probably still be looking for another goalkeeper to come in. My gut tells me Conor Truman probably won't be number 2. And then you kind of said earlier about sort of a left back, centre back, like you rightly said, Hutcher's gone, so you're looking for another option there. And Wes Harding's obviously been linked with a move away and didn't play as much. Right back, you're probably all right with Danny and Ryan. Midfield's a difficult one because, yeah, like Angelo said, I think Honeyman will probably feature centrally. But the big bit is going to be the forwards, isn't it? I think it's no secret. In terms of specifics, I think there's still a real dearth of pace in that squad. The Championship is so much more athletic than it was when Neil was last in charge. And, you know, I'm not, it's not to say Neil doesn't know that. He's a smart man and he will know, he'll know better than me. But I think we really need some pace out wide. He alluded to it yesterday. I think I won't quote him word for word, but I think he said something along the lines of good Millwall teams have always been solid, but they've always had that flair element as well. Like, I remember when I was growing up, loved Paul Eiffel, like, you know, absolutely loved him. Frustrating because he'd do, you know, he unimaginable, and then he'd shank a ball out of play. But that's an old school winger, isn't it? They're consistently inconsistent. So I think that'll be the next bit for me, because unless you've got good supply, and if we're going to go play down the wings, which it looks like, you know, that comes from your wide men. It's no good having a striker who scores 70 goals in 90 odd games. You know, I said it last time, I think, and I know his overall spell here maybe wasn't, you know, in the same vein of form as he was under Chopper, but I really, really like Ryan Longman. I know there's been a bit of talk. I know, I think Richard Cawley said that, you know, Hull are looking to make a profit, so that would be more than £1 million. Really, really hope that maybe something could be done there, because I really like Longman. I think he very much suits a Neil Harris team. He's very direct, but he's diligent as well. He'll get back. He'll help out your fullback. But wingers is the order of the day, I think. I think if I'm being greedy as well, you probably like another profile of striker in there. Like I said, I think Langstaff's got a little bit of pace. I'd be lying if I said I know too much about him. But I think he's got a little bit of pace, which obviously is something Bradshaw and Nisbet don't. In terms of like that more physical element, I don't know. Is he going to be? I would like to see maybe a more physical, kind of bigger striker in there, especially if he's going to play a 2. Or will he use Zian in that role if he's going to push him up? You know, because if we're going to play with a 2, Zian won't be in the 10. So maybe that's something he'll sort of think about. Like I said last year, I think there were definitely times where, you know, he was practically playing as a second striker. But that would be the biggest thing for me. I think a bit of pace and a bit of flair to get the best out of people like Langstaff. And, you know, we talk about Langstaff, but, you know, Bradshaw can finish as well. You know, I know there was a bit of talk about him leaving, and, you know, there's definitely no smoke without fire. But if you read Neil Harris's quotes since then, you know, he's very, very strong, very, very adamant that he wants him to stay. So if he is going to stay, you know, I know his fitness record, I know he's suffered with injuries, but year before last, I think he scored 17 league goals. You know, that's not a, you know, if he gets the chances and he's in that 6-yard box penalty area, he's shown before he can finish. And Nisbet, difficult first season. I think it was always going to be a difficult first season. I'm not concerned about his finishing ability. It would be the other elements of Neil Harris speaks a lot about being a Millwall number 9, running the channels, chasing lost causes, and you know that's the side I've not seen of Nisbet. I think he's shown he can finish. I think his first goal was it against Stoke, where he just sort of like almost caressed it into the corner.
Yeah,
like chaos in the box, and he was the coolest man in there. But you know, he's got a lot to do this season because it was a challenging first season. But like Angelo said, I think you're looking at. I think we need two wide men to come in, because you look at that graphic you put up, Chris. You know, Adam Mayer. I'm not too sure how long he's going to be out for. I think it's a couple of months. I think Chopper said this week. But would he have been one who maybe have gone out on loan anyway for 6 months. I think he said that himself. And then, you know, I think that forward area is the one, you know, but there's other bits that need doing. Like I said, I do wonder if they'll look for a goalkeeper, maybe a bit of championship experience, maybe a more experienced head. Although I don't think it's like Gary said from me, Stacey Westpod, about goalkeepers stepping up. Obviously, he's not had championship experience. I don't think the lad who played on trial yesterday, again, it's not something I'm privy to, but I would imagine that wouldn't be one for kind of the senior ranks. And then, yeah, defence as well. You know, like you said, we've lost Hutch. So Cooper and Tanganga is a brilliant pairing, but something goes wrong, gets suspended. Well, Tanganga's suspended for the first 3 games. So, you know,
there's a problem straight away.
Well, yeah, if you're looking at potentially Wes Harding's going out, you've got Murray Wallace there as well, but it's just too light, I think. You know, Grant looks all right yesterday. I'm not too sure. I've not seen much of Macauley. He played last year, didn't he? But if they're not ready, then you're looking at another centre half. So I think there's still a lot of work to do in terms of signings. I think the noises that the club are making, that Neil were making, are positive. He's not running away from that. He's sort of saying, look, let's get 4, 5, 6, 7 in the door. So it's positive, and hopefully, listen, if we can continue signing quality-wise in the same vein that we have been doing, I think everyone will be very, very happy come the start of August. So fingers crossed. A lot to be done, but, you know, 3 in a week, and you'd imagine there'll be a bit more movement before Spain. I think Chopper will probably like a couple of more in before they jet off, whether it's end of this week or start of next. So things are moving in the right direction. So, yeah, plenty to be excited about, and yeah, hopefully many more to come.
Let's hope so, mate. Yeah, and as you say, it's clear to see that he wants them in the building. He wants them now. I think the way I would sort of try and summarise what I still think we need to do is I think we need to add players that may not necessarily start, but depth in the goalkeeping department, depth for midfield. But in forward areas, I think we need to add to the starting 11. And I think that's where, therefore, the priority has to be. And my next question, I'm going to come around each of you, but I'll sort of kick it off, which is, if you could sign, I mean, I'm going to slightly cheat, but if you could sign one position, what would it be? And any sort of realistic options. So I'll kick it off and say, I think I'm going to cheat and say that I think we need a mobile target man in the ilk of someone like, we're not going to get them, someone like a George Hurst that was at Ipswich. I would have taken Kiefer Moore. I know we've been linked with him so many times, and obviously he clearly don't want to come, but someone like that. I think we need someone, as I say, like a mobile target man, almost like what Morrow was in the second spell, that kind of player. And then I think we do need a winger, and I wouldn't be against that winger. I think we need 2, by the way. But I think all good Millwall teams have had wingers. They've had a mobile target man. And I think I would certainly not be against one of those wingers being Ryan Longman. I think he grew into his spell. He's young. He's both-footed. He plays a Harris game in the sense he helps out the defence. So he goes both ways. He added a couple of goals to his game. For me, that would be someone I would add. So to summarise from me, a mobile target man and 1 or 2 wingers. I'm going to come round now to everyone. I'll start with yourself, Steve. If you could pick one, who would it be, mate?
I'm only allowed one, right? No,
Listen, run out of money, Steve.
Yeah, I'll loan a bit for us. But let's just say, before I do that, very quickly, obviously the new recruitment team seem to be doing a great job. They must be clearly involved in these signings. Some would have been work in progress, or certainly Tanganga, but that's encouraging. And the other point I wanted to make was Zian. You know, that's all gone quiet, hasn't it, about him going elsewhere? And I wouldn't have been too disappointed for the right money for him to go. But actually now thinking, I wonder whether third season we could get a real cracker out of him, being a bit more settled, another pre-season under his belt, etc. Could be another hidden gem for us for this season. So, and as Dan says, can play up front as well as maybe a 10 or a midfield role. So options there. look, I think without doubt, up front, slightly different to you in terms of mobility, a target man. I'm not necessarily so bothered about going big man, small man for the starting 11, but I do think it's a good option to potentially either start with or come off the bench. It ain't working. Stick a big man up there to ruffle it up. Look at bloody Holland. Look at Weghorst. What a job he's done for him in this championship. So that for me, and like you, listen, I know the fans hate him now, and probably he may never have even been asked the question, do you want to join Millwall? But Kiefer Moore, I think, would be bloody fantastic. And I say it because we were very close this time last year or just before the season kicked off. So I quite like different player, but more of a winger, but great delivery into the box. But again, I think he may have gone somewhere now. That Zorba Thomas at Huddersfield, I heard his name being bandied about as he's available. Yeah, his delivery is off the scale.
It is. It is. I mean, it's a weird one because he's being touted about constantly at a price that you look at and you go, why is no one taking him? So to me, there is something underlying, whether he's got
possibly,
I know nothing, by the way, so I don't do rumors and all that kind of thing, but there is clearly something, whether it's a long-standing injury or a personality difference, shall we say, but for 800k with the abilities that he's shown in the championship, it would be a snip. But there's got to be something, in my opinion. I just thought I'd add that in. Sorry, Steve.
No, you're right. And you're right to say so because, look, Harris is very on that, isn't he? He wants the right to, as any manager does, but he doesn't want, idiots. He wants people that are going to graft and be part of a team, So, look, I think same as you, up front, most definitely, either a target man or a creative winger, stroke attacker for me.
Nice. I think we're all saying the same thing. Angelo, we'll come to you, mate.
Do you know what? Just quickly, there's two guys that we've not really mentioned, and hopefully they're going to do it this season. And that's Mako and Esse. We've not really spoke about them today, but I was hoping Esse would have kicked in last season. Maybe it's this season, and I pray. Love the kid, and again, just before when we was talking off air, Imaku last year had a great preseason, and then it just never happened. So yeah, let's hope that them two boys can really kick in because I think they could probably both play on the wing, in my opinion. But yeah, so we've got them two to look forward to. Steve stole my thunder because that guy from Holland is my dream striker for Millwall. Is that Weghorst, mate? With his elbows and how physical he is. If we could find a Weghorst in League One or League Two, that he is my type of striker. My friends rip me apart about him because they think he's absolute pony. But yeah, I love him. If we could get something like him, I'll be so happy, mate. Up front.
Yeah.
You know Weghorst, Chris?
Yeah, I was literally just putting in the chat that there's that Sydney Van Hooijdonk, isn't there? We were rumoured with him before. He then went on loan to Norwich. I think he's a bit sort of similarish to that. I don't really, but he didn't really click at Norwich, and now he's been touted around the Championship again. Don't know whether that's something that we would look into.
Yeah,
given
it's like like that Josh Sargent at Norwich. How strong and physical he is. He is such a handful. He's such a handful for defenders, and someone of that ilk is what I'd like to bring in. To play. Hopefully, we are going to go 4-4-2, and the aggressive one with Langstaff on his side. I think it would be great. But yeah, that's what I think. That's what I would tell my recruitment team to go and find me. Go and find me a League One, League Two Weghorst tomorrow.
Gallon, if you're listening, mate, I'll be watching the Euros tonight. Be watching clips of League One and League Two because Angelo said.
Yeah.
Dan, finally, mate, over to you. What's your view on that one player that would make all the difference?
Winger for me, I think, especially we don't know if it's going to be the 4-4-2, the 4-2-3-1, and like we say, maybe it will go a bit hybrid. But if you've got Zian in there as well, I'd go probably a winger. And like you, I was really, last kind of 5-6 games, I don't think there was anyone that, in terms of a standout for me. Ryan Longman was bang up there. I think he's realistic. I think he's a good age. He's a good fit for what Chopper wants. Hopefully he would hit the ground running, because again, he'd be coming back into familiar surroundings, knows the team, knows the teammates. For me, I think it's a no-brainer if it's viable. One thing, not to sort of go off tangent, but all the deals we've got so far, in terms of the two we've paid a transfer for, Tanganga, obviously there's no fee. I would imagine, I'm not privy to information on it, but I would imagine he'll be at the upper end of the wage scale, so still a big investment. But you look at the fees we paid, is smart business. I don't think, and I think Chopper said it, I can't remember where, but I'm sure I've heard him saying about the right deals for the club. If something can be done there, I think that's a no-brainer, personally.
Agree. And I would imagine that, I've heard Derby rumoured, I've heard Wrexham, I've heard quite a few different clubs are interested in Longman, but surely if you're him, he's from more this way anyway. It's a natural fit for him to want to come back here too. So agree, mate, and hopefully we can get something sorted. Cool. Okay. Well, look, I think that was a really interesting conversation about the transfer business we've done so far. I'm sure, chaps, if we do want another one of these in a few weeks' time, we'll be talking about another 3 or 4 signings that hopefully anyway. But I just want to finish off today's episode with, of course, it'd be stupid of us not to talk about the game tonight, the England game, England versus Spain in the Euro 2024 final. So I'm going to ask you 2 questions in one and come around to each of you. So the 2 questions are score prediction and how do we beat Spain? They're my 2 questions. So, Angelo, I'll come to you first, mate. So, what do you think the score will be? And how do we go about beating Spain, who have probably been the standout team in the tournament so far?
We're going with the head or the heart, mate?
Oh, I don't know. I really don't know.
All right, let's go with the heart, yeah?
Good
So
man.
2-1 to England. 2-1 to England. The way that we're going to stop them is stop them 2 wingers, mate. We got to stop them 2 wingers. Morata, I'm not that too worried about Morata, but Nico Williams and Jamal, the 17-year-old now, they are such a threat. And also, we've got to stop Rodri from dictating, mate, because Rodri is just an animal. He's just an animal. So 2-1 to England. Stop the 2 wingers. Come on, you England. Come on. Can't wait, mate. Can't wait. And Chris, just before I sign off, yeah.
Yes, mate.
There's a little bit with the players of no one likes us, so I don't care. They're giving it every time they score, they're giving it to us, aren't they? Like with the old celebrations, and it's almost like they've got that no one likes us, we don't care mentality, which is fucking great, mate. Because they just want to prove the pundits wrong, all the people that are slagging them off wrong, all the people that want Southgate, they want to prove them wrong, and I hope they do, mate. But I feel there's just right at the end, there's just been a togetherness. I think there was a bit of a separation, but we're all together now, and let's hope that we can do it tonight, mate. Can't wait.
Love it, mate. I couldn't agree more. And let's be honest, probably as a nation, not many people do like us anymore. So it's quite fitting, really. I can't imagine there'll be many neutrals that want us to win. But love it, mate. Would love that to happen. Steve, what's your thoughts, mate? How do we beat Spain, and what's the score going to be?
Look, first and foremost, I would say I've been Southgate's biggest critic through this tournament. I think from day one, he's brought the team together better than any manager has done before. All the years he's been there, but he has been poor this tournament. But he has changed, and with those changes, we've improved and got slowly better and better. That first half against Holland, we were very good, I felt. I want to say a message to all the youngsters out there who maybe moan about Southgate and the current squad of players. You just do not know how lucky you are, because 20, 30 years of watching absolute disappointment after disappointment after disappointment to now do 2 finals, a semi-final and a quarter-final. Is that right? Is that his record now? Or is it 2 semi-finals? I can't remember. 2 finals, certainly a semi-final. Is on another scale to what we've ever been used to. But I really do believe at long last, I didn't, but I did before the semi-final. I thought we might struggle in the semi-final, but I thought if we win, get through, I think we'll win it, even knowing Spain had got through. My head says we'll win on penalties, believe it or not, which will be absolutely a nightmare of a night, but great way to win it. My heart says we might just nick it 3-1, and you think, Christ, we're never going to win by that much. 2-1 with 10 minutes to go, and we'll get another on the break type thing and coast in nice and easily. How nice would that be? Bloody hell. How do we beat them? Absolutely, Angelo's bang on right. But I think just an add-on to that is our best players need to absolutely perform. All of, not just Saka have a good game or Foden have a good game or Bellingham. They all need to have really good, solid games and elements of brilliance throughout. And then the solidity of the midfield with Mainu and Rice cutting out Rodri, as you rightly say. I genuinely think we've got enough. And what I do like now is I don't think Southgate will be frightened at 60 minutes to make a change, even Kane coming off, which he would never have done previously. So we've got the best chance we'll ever have. And I do think we're going to just nick it tonight, which would be fantastic for the country. It really would be fantastic. So, yeah, like you, Angelo, come on, England. Let's bring it home. I hate that song, but let's hope it is coming home. And I only hate it because I think it's bad luck, but I'll be bloody singing it at the rooftop tonight if we win it, that's for sure.
Well, for me, I'd rather listen to John Barnes do a rap. But anyway, Dan,
they'll all be on tonight, don't worry, if we win.
Yeah.
I'm with Steve. I did think we would win it on penalties, but then Angelo's just killed us. Like, you're not worried about Morata. You've just written a script, mate. Like, absolutely no chance now, is there? Like, come on. No, I'll go. I think 1-1, and I think we'll win on penalties. We lost it, didn't we, on penalties 3 years ago. You said about the wingers, about Rodri, obvious about Spain. I think for England, what England need to do is we just need to look. Would Bellingham get in Spain's team? I think so. You look at Bellingham, Foden, Saka. Kane. Has anyone scored more than him in Europe this season? Maybe someone, isn't it?
Macauley Langstaff has.
There you go. But it's not that we've not got the players. I think we just need to be positive. We've got the players to win it. Hopefully we can. My head tells me penalties, 1-1 penalties. But obviously Morata's going to bag a hat trick now, isn't he? So what's the point?
I can't see that. I'm going to go 1-0 England. I'm going to say that we haven't. I'm obviously writing another script. We haven't really conceded that many goals, and I think that the way we play lends itself to that. And I think we can shut up shop, do all the things that you've all talked about. Nico Williams, Yamal, Rodri, and is it Ruiz in the midfield? It got some good players. Obviously, Danny Olmo as well. So they've got some good players. But I think you stop them playing, and ultimately, don't worry about them. We just play to our capabilities, and I think we are a better team. We just haven't shown it until that first half against Holland. So I'm going to go 1-0, tight affair. Harry Kane to win the golden boot by getting his 4th goal of the tournament and us to lift this trophy. But we shall see. I hope to be in the pub in the next few hours. So I'm to calm the nerves. But look, wherever you're watching it from, enjoy it. And it will be a fantastic thing for the country if we were able to be successful. But that's it. That's it for this episode of the Roundtable. Hopefully, listeners, viewers, you enjoyed that as much as we did recording it for you. And just only thing else for me to do is just to thank yourself, Angelo, yourself, Dan, and yourself, Steve, for coming on. Really appreciate it, and super, super interesting thoughts and insights as always. So thank you, chaps.
Thanks for having us, mate. Really enjoyed it.
Pleasure. All right. It's coming home. See you later, everyone.